very good evening and a warm welcome to Personal Finance. I'm Gugulethu, Cele. Well, tax season in South Africa has officially begun. We now speak to Luther Lebelo, who's the spokesperson of the South African Revenue Service, to walk us through the basic concepts of tax filing season. Luther, thank you so much for making time to speak to us today.
Thank you so much for inviting us.
There's quite a bit for us to actually get into, but I take it, obviously it's identifying the particular candidates who are liable and have to take on the responsibility of submitting their tax returns. Who are these individuals?
Yeah, maybe the simple way to put it is who is not liable to file, because then the rest must file. If you earn less than 350,000 per annum, under the following 4 conditions: you have been under one employer for the last assessment year, you do not have any other income, you do not have deductions like medical aid and all that, or do you have any interest tax, you do not have to file. So then the rest must file. So
if you don't fit into that particular category that you've just listed, then you need to file. The obvious step to start for many, especially first-time tax filers, if I can refer to them as such, they need to get their tax number, ensure that they have the appropriate documentation. What does all of that entail?
Yeah, if you look, we encourage e-filing, obviously, because we know that the majority of our people have got access to internet. So you can then go into e-filing. You can go to our website, www.sars.gov.za, and you click into e-filing. Then you register as an e-filer. Then once you've registered as an e-filer, it's going to give you a tax number. Then you fill up all the information there. And the reason why we're encouraging it is that it has all the conveniences that you need. You can do it any time of the day and night. It's 24 hours a day. You can use your tablet, you can use your iPhone, you can use that to do it any time of the day, so we're encouraging it. But if you prefer to go to the branch, because most people prefer to go to the branch because they're very comfortable with talking to our agent. You can also go into the branch with the following document. You must have your ID number, your ID copy or your original ID or your license. And you must also have all the incomes that you have accrued. If you are an employee, then you must have your IRP5, then you must have your medical aid reports, your retirement fund reports. And then when you get to the branch, they'll help you. They'll lock you in, you'll get a tax number, and they're going to file for you. And out of that, it will tell us whether you are owing SARS or you are actually qualifying for a refund.
It's interesting you mentioned the documentation, especially the IRP5, as well as the medical aid, a certificate or even proof of deductions that you need to submit, because I take it these are often supplied by not only your employer, but the institutions as well, which you have some of these facilities with, correct?
Yes. Yeah, what happens is that every month when the employer deducts what you call pay as you earn, at the end of the year, that employer must give you what you call an IRP5. So it tells us what the employer has been deducting. So what it does, it helps us to reconcile, because the tax season is all about us reconciling between what you have been paying and what you have been deducting, and then reconciling and seeing whether we have overtaxed you or we have undertaxed you. And if you have overtaxed you, you're going to get a refund. If you have undertaxed you, you will have to pay us back. So the employer must submit that, and then we reconcile it with our own information. Then we give you the refund, or you'll have to pay us back.
This takes us back to the word which is almost synonymous with SARS, honesty. And you need full disclosure on the taxpayer's behalf. And you mentioned all sorts of income that also need to be disclosed. Maybe if you walk us through that, because in South Africa you have people who are contract employees, people who work part-time, people who work full-time, others who have other avenues in which they try to augment their income. Are those all the certain kind of nitty-gritties that they actually need to ensure that they do disclose to SARS?
Yeah, in fact, the simple way to put it, you've got 2 categories of taxpayers. You've got what you call a provisional taxpayer, and you've got what you call a non-provisional taxpayer. So starting with a non-provisional taxpayer is like myself. I work for SARS, I get my salary, and I've got a medical aid and all other benefits. That is a non-provisional taxpayer. Then I go and do the submission. The provisional taxpayer, which is a little bit complex, if you like, is the ones that have got other incomes, like, you've got a business and many other incomes, or many other businesses, you are rental, and stuff like those. Those ones you'll realize that if they are e-filing, their deadline is January 2016. They make payments twice in a year. So if they owe in SARS, they're going to make payments twice in a year, and their process is a bit complex. If you are a contract employee, all you have to do is to take your income, whatever that you have earned, because we deduct tax from it. You go to the branch, then they'll also do the reconciliation. As long as you're not falling within that category, then they'll do the reconciliation and they'll tell you where you stand.
Okay, so making sure that you get the appropriate knowledge and expertise.
Yes.
I'm going to ask a difficult question, not so much in the sense, but is it always advisable to get an external tax expert to help a lot of our viewers with tax filing? Is that often recommended by SARS, or do you prefer liaising with taxpayers directly?
Look, with everything equal, because we are very, very confident about the service that we provide, we'll obviously encourage people to come to our branches. But of course, if they decide to use a consultant, our advice is that they must make sure that that consultant is registered with SARS. They must actually demand a registration number, because if they are not registered, because the problem is that in terms of our laws, you remain the sole responsible person when it comes to your taxes. So if you use a consultant and things go wrong, you can't blame the consultant. But if it's a registered one, it's important, because then if there are problems, because they're registered with us, we can deregister them. So they've got a little bit of obligations. But if you use some fly-by-night and then he disappears and you can't trace that person, then that becomes very difficult. Yeah.
Something else that is also important, I take it, is the balance between tax avoidance and tax evasion, because that's again where direct liaison with the client or with a registered tax expert will be something will help to manage that particular scenario. Because if consumers don't disclose fully all types of income that they earn, then this could get them into trouble with SARS, no doubt.
In a big way, and it's not a threat, by the way. We can give records of what we have done with such people. What we have done now, which is very important, is that we have established collaboration with other institutions like the banks, like Home Affairs and DTI, where we are doing the collaboration of data. So once you have done your submission, at a later stage, we'll then reconcile it with other data. So it's very, very important that you declare as truthful as possible. Don't under-declare, don't over-declare. Just declare what is there in the papers, because if you do not do that, you'll be committing a criminal offense in terms of the tax. You'll also be charged for interest and penalties, which can cause you a lot of trouble. So all we are asking South Africans to do is just to declare what is there in the papers. Don't think that you can squeeze it and get a refund and think you'll disappear with the refund.
And if you're uncertain, ask questions. Go back to SARS, consult, ask questions, and hopefully
we've got a branch that you can ask. We've got a very efficient contact center that is working until 7 p.m. that you can call anytime and seek clarity. So we're encouraging that you must do that.
You've also been educating consumers to beware of particular fraudulent schemes where you get emails or SMSs asking you to confirm your banking details, and that's something that SARS doesn't do.
Yes, and it's a very, very important, and thanks, Gugu, for raising that. SARS has got your information, and that's why as long as you have registered as a taxpayer, we've got your information. There is no way that you'll call you and say, confirm the information. Once you receive such things, please ignore them. Don't cooperate with those kind of requests. SARS will never do that. If you are due for a refund, we'll do what needs to be done and we'll pay you the refund. Ignore such things, because once you allow and you give them that information, and they start very nicely, so they'll start with their name and address, and they go slowly, then they ask your bank account. So don't cooperate, because once you open your account, they'll clean that account off, or they'll put money, some fraudulent money into that account and stuff like that. So encouraging people not to do that. If you receive that, it looks so genuine. Yeah. At least give us a call in the call center, just to verify that I received this thing. I'm tempted. Can you check with your systems whether it is possible? And our people will help, the agents will help you to check it for you. But don't cooperate until you speak to us if you are so tempted.
Luther, we've said quite a bit in tonight's conversation. I'm sure this will definitely go on as we take a look at some of the deductions and allowances that might be provided for in filing a return. But in summation, what are the key points to remember?
Okay, the key points to remember is that the threshold has been moved from 250,000 from last year to this year. This year is 350,000. And of course, we're expecting 850,000 less than people who are filing because of the threshold. So remember that, be careful that if you decide not to file, make sure that you are following on those categories. The second one is that we have increased the capacity both in the contact center, in the branches, in the e-filing system, and as well as in our mobile tax unit. So we've got trucks that goes to rural areas and far-reaching areas where you go and you do the electronic filing there. So please use that and call us. The last one, of course, is the issue about the whole issue about the scam. It's a very, very critical one because we really don't want people to fall into this trap because it's the last thing that you want, that they wipe off your money and you can't even trace it.
Two things just to I want us to touch on before we wrap up the show. The deadlines and the penalties that might be involved if people fail to submit on time. And secondly, for people who are too scared because they haven't submitted their tax reconciliations in previous years, is there some kind of amnesty for them, and can they come forward and give full disclosure to say, look, I haven't submitted my tax return over the last 2 years, can you help out, and hopefully the penalty won't be too harsh? Yes,
so the first one, if you do not submit on time, the penalties ranges from 250 to 16,000 a day, depending on how much you earn.
A day?
Yes.
Oh,
so that's how bad that can be. It's 200% penalties. The ones who have never filed, it's like a lie. You protect it with another lie, and you protect it with another lie. The sooner you come forward and make that declaration, the better. We've got what you call a voluntary disclosure program. You can come, approach us, and make a voluntary disclosure program, and then we'll be very lenient with everything that you submit. But at least you'll know that you have passed the most important test. Now you are a taxpayer, you are eligible for payment. And we're encouraging everybody to come forward, because the time we then discover it through audit, at that time there is no mercy for you, because you had all these opportunities to come and get a voluntary disclosure.
Thank you so much, Luther, for your time today.
Thank you
much appreciated.
Thanks so
and
much.
That's where we leave it for Personal Finance this evening. A big thank you once more to Luther Lebelo, who's the SARS spokesperson. Remember that we want to hear from you, so get in touch. You can tweet any of your comments or suggestions, and even your tax questions, to @CNBC Africa using the hashtag Finance410, or to myself @Gugulethu, and we'll be sure to get Luther in again to answer them for you. Until next time, though, take care, everyone.